Amazon, I'm Jasmine Moyer, and welcome to Sway TV.
Welcome, and to Amazon Live and virtually into our Sway TV studio.
I'm so excited to get started today.
And we're doing Workout Wednesdays here on Amazon Live.
And she is fresh off the set of Shark Tank.
It's such an honor to be here today, so thank you.
We're gonna have some fun on the street.
We are gonna be talking all about parenting.
This is our tribe of women. What is the key to a successful business?
And it's Brad Grunberg. Hi, Brad. This is a game changer.
There's a Tesla. You can actually buy a car on Amazon. The perfect gift. You guys, get on this now.
Such an amazing Amazon deal.
Yes, we got our Drake's Cake break. So awesome.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake your Zulai.
That was very dramatic.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you at Sway TV. Thank you.
Oh, Naveen says thank you. This is my first time I'm seeing Amazon Live. This is better than Netflix. Yes!
So happy New Year 2021. Let's bring it in with a bang.
2, 1.
So grateful for you guys and for Sway TV.
We'll see you soon. Until then, let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway. Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway!
Let's sway.
Let's sway.
Let's sway. Let's sway.
Hello and welcome into the virtual studio of Sway TV on Amazon Live. I'm Marissa Gold. I am back with you today, Friday afternoon, January 22nd. What a week it has been. We are in a new mental health headspace. We're so excited that we have a new president in the White House, and we are hopefully going to be moving forward for this country in a positive direction and bring kindness to everyone, calm into your home. And today we're talking about on the art of parenting, the pandemic and parenting a teen. Parenting a teen. So the pandemic has changed everything, right? And so today we're going to talk we're going to get kind of into the weeds a little bit, like what has it changed? What specifically has it changed with teenagers? And how do we as parents deal with our teenagers and also maintain our sanity and maintain our own health and well-being, which is so important. If you saw our previous show, it was all about taking care of ourselves and self-care. And I think that that plays really nicely into talking about teenagers and the pandemic, because now more than ever, we really need to figure out how to do this. We need to figure out how to help ourselves and help our children, whether they're teenagers, whether they're young kids. So thank you so much for watching and joining us today on Sway TV on Amazon Live. I'm Marissa Gold. This is The Art of Parenting. And we're going to talk about some really cool different ideas for how to be the best parents to teenagers and to children. We are also going to talk about some products that you can bring into your home to help you and to give to your kids that will help them, whether it's, help them to relax, help them to have fun, help them to put themselves in a different headspace, because let's face it, we all need to be in a little bit of a different headspace right now than, pre-pandemic. So, let's look really quickly. I want to just take you through some of the things that we're going to talk about today. You'll see, because you can always shop the carousel, you'll see that we're going to look at one of my favorite items. I love talking about this, the Kindle, a speaker, a massager. We're going to talk about my favorite kitchen products, the Zulai kitchen products. How do we do things in the house to help us maintain our sanity, which is in segment 2. For me, that's, shortening routines. And so we're going to talk about the Revlon hair dryer, maybe even a robot vacuum system, some things to help us in the kitchen. There are just so many items. Obviously one of the things that we just love about Amazon, it is that it is a one-stop shop. And I'm a big researcher. Anytime I want to buy something new, I actually type it into my I don't go straight to Amazon. I usually go straight to one of my web browsers and type it in. And of course, Amazon always comes up first. And so, but I like to look around on the internet, and then I like to go to Amazon and I like to check out their reviews, and I like to look at the different products that they sell in that category. And so, and I would say 99% of the time I end up purchasing on Amazon, because let's face it, Amazon has a really great return policy. Amazon has, they carry lots of brands, and what you may not know is they actually carry a lot of small home-based brands where, so similar to going on to other platforms where you're really shopping smaller mom and pop stores, you can do the same thing on Amazon, believe it or not. You really can. And so I actually look for that. I look because I like the ease of Amazon. I like that I get things quickly from Amazon. I like that I can rely on the customer service with Amazon, that I can return it quickly, but I also like to support small mom and pop companies, and I can do that all in one place. So that's super exciting. So, okay, so let's talk about the pandemic. Let's talk about what has happened, and you know what has happened. And if you want to join me in the chat, if you want to ask questions or comments, I would love for you to talk with me. This is much more fun. I have a much greater time doing this show and spending time with you all out there when you're talking to me. So please comment on the show, comment on products that you really like, ask me parenting questions, give me your own parenting advice. I would love it. I will call you out and I will give you credit for it, because I think, I'm obviously not the only parenting expert. This is a space that has been created, that it wasn't around 20 years ago, but there are a lot of us out there that are really great and are a wonderful resource for you and your families during quote unquote normal times. And when is it really normal if you're raising kids? And then, times like pandemics, which hopefully this will be the only one that we are going to have to go through, at least in our lifetime, but you never know. So it's good to know how to do this, right? So we're going to talk about that today. So obviously the pandemic has changed so many things, but what we're going to talk specifically about today are how it has changed life for teenagers and how it has changed life for parents and families with teenagers in them and parents of them, because let's face it, it has changed the entire game. So the pandemic has changed pretty much everything, right? It has changed the way that our children are going to school. It has changed the way that they socialize. It has changed the way that they engage with technology and screen time. It's gone way up than it used to be. It has changed their relationships with parents and friends, because teenagers, well, you know what? They're really not supposed to be home 24/7. Teenagers are, from a developmental place, it's all about, this stage of life is all about individuation of their identity and separation from their parents, and really starting to learn who they are as a person. And it's really hard to do that when you're at home 24/7. Teenagers are supposed to go to school. They are supposed to have extracurricular activities. They are supposed to be with their friends and out socializing. It is not normal for teenagers to be home all the time. It's also not normal for teenagers to be on their computer all day long for school. We know that it is not the way that these brains work best, whether they're teenagers or young children. And then we also, we know that it's changing relationships. So relationships with family members, relationships with friends, because they're not able to be out and see their friends the way they used to. They're not having experiential opportunities outside of their home like they used to. So there are so many things that it has changed. However, it is not all bad. I do not want to paint a picture of gloom and doom, because there are actually some really great things that have come out of the pandemic as well. And that's actually, that's what I want to kind of focus on in segment 1 of this show. I really want to talk about how we as parents and administrators and teachers and people who work with teenagers and kids can model a shift in how we're thinking about stress, flexibility, resiliency, hope, all of these different things that when we change the way we think about them and then we implement them, we put ourselves in a different headspace, our mood is lifted and we engage differently with the world. And so while we do have to also allow for teenagers to grieve what is not happening in their life and allow them to have the feelings that they have, because it is so important to allow them to be angry and upset and frustrated, just like we as adults are also probably angry and upset and sad and frustrated at times, so too are our children. And the most important thing that we can do is to honor that and to talk with them about it, or to let them have those moments and those feelings. But then how do we as their parents and as their teachers and the adults that are in their life, how do we model the coming out of that? What do we do where we able what do we do to really help with that? So we actually just got a question from Jay, so I'm going to read that. So thank you so much, Jay, for chiming in. It says, the question is, hi, my teenage son was an all-star baseball player in Little League. The pandemic has been hard on him. Yesterday, he said he's now transgender and transracial. He identifies as an Asian female. What should I do? Wow, that is a very that is a question that is filled with so many different aspects. We are going to get back to that question shortly. That's a very big question. We will get back to that. But the pandemic, what I will say to you right now is that the pandemic is hard on all children of all ages when they are not able to engage in the activities that were a normal part of their everyday life, right? So it is also hard because they are not able to be with their friends. And that is where they would start to toy with their identity, and where they would start to test out who are they and how do they play with their identity in social relationships. So this is a really important, and I'm getting a note. Okay, got it. So thank you so much. So it is important that we take things like this really seriously, because our children are having very different experiences now, and we have to figure out how do we actually sometimes help them get some similar like experiences, if not the same, right? So that's one of the things that the pandemic has done for us. It has taken away the usual things that we could have done before, that our children could have engaged in before. That doesn't mean that it's gone entirely, right? There's actually quite a bit of, there are still so many things that we can do. But let's talk about, what are specifically our teens dealing with? I mentioned before that they're dealing specifically with separation and individuation. And there are some very specific categories that this is happening in. So they're thinking about this specifically, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, within technology and screen time, the knowledge of and exposure to violence, the unknown, and health issues, which are coming up a lot as it pertains specifically to COVID. Familial experiences and changes, that's obviously happening also because of COVID. Knowledge of and exposure to their own and to the people around them, their sexuality and the people around them. Individuating from familial, religious, and moral values. That's a really big one, right? So how do our children start to separate, when they are young, they are brought up in our home and they abide by our rules, they buy into our morals and our principles and our religions. Well, you know what? As they start to get older, they get to question those things. And finally, their peer groups. And so these are all different ways where they're starting to really look at the world around them, because they've gone through that original stage, birth through 11 years old, which is all about information consumption, right? And it's all about building the foundation of the building blocks of what we need to live and be functioning human beings. Things like walking and talking and just understanding that the world is outside the doors. But now when we have tweens and teens, they understand that. They know how to do those things well. They've consumed a lot of information. Now they get to start really focusing in on themselves and who they want to become and who they will be in the future. And what's really interesting about this is that you have two parts of the brain that are kind of at odds odds in the teen years, right? There is the prefrontal cortex of the brain, which the prefrontal cortex is all about long-range planning and judgment, controlling impulses, organizing and strategizing. It's driven by reason. And the prefrontal brain is the last part of the brain to come online. And then you have the limbic part of the brain, which is driven by passion. And it's all about, it's the emotional center of our brain. It's the primitive center of our brain. It is impulsive. And this part of the brain has come online already. It's still coming online during the teen years, but it is much more online than the prefrontal cortex part of the brain. And so what we see, if we're just going to talk science just for 30 seconds, what we see is that there is actually these two parts of the brain that are at odds with each other in the teen years. And so often you have teenagers making decisions that are emotional and impulsive, and parents don't understand why, because you also see moments of clarity and rationality and ability to control impulses, because that's the two parts of the brain that are toying with each other, right? The other thing about the brain is that we have to teach the brain learns through experiences, that consequences are real for whatever our actions are. Consequences are real. This is, we have to actually learn this idea about consequences. And again, this comes from the brain getting the information it needs. Now, here's what's really interesting about the brain is while the prefrontal cortex is growing and growing and coming online, it is not fully formed as the way it will be as an adult until your teenager is actually in his or her 20s. Really what we know now is about mid-20s, 24, 25, 26, in that range, is where the prefrontal cortex finally fully clicks into, oh, now I understand my actions have consequences, and so the decisions that they make are more consistent over the long run. I hope that makes sense. If anybody wants to ask questions about the brain or wants to ask questions about how the brain is wiring up, I would love for you to chime in. But the reason why that is so important is because when we actually understand the science behind how we're developing, then we can start to understand the behaviors that we see from our kids, right? So teenagers make sometimes very irrational decisions, or they act incredibly rudely to us. Well, believe it or not, like, we as parents have to grow kind of a thick shell and understand that that's what they're supposed to be doing right now. It may not be what we want to hear or see or experience in our homes, but the reality is that that is their job. Their job at this stage in their life is to individuate and to work on their identity. And that means that they're not always going to be the nice, happy, wonderful kids that we know them to be from when they were a little bit younger. But that's also okay, because quite frankly, there are a lot of things that we can do as parents to help our teens. So if you're just joining me, again, my name is Marissa Gold. This is The Art of Parenting on Sway TV on Amazon Live. Thank you so much for being here with me. Today we're talking about the pandemic, parenting through the pandemic, specifically with teenagers. Next week we're going to get into smaller children, and I'm actually going to bring some guests on, which will be really fun. And so we've just kind of talked a little bit about like what specifically are teens dealing with, the buckets that they are trying to individuate within. And it's so important to, as a parent, to understand what those buckets are. And I like to actually just say, well, it's kind of everything. Like, if you just look at them across the board, like, they're just trying to figure out who they are. And so there are going to be times when you're not going to recognize your teenager at all. And I think that's one of the really interesting things about having a teenager in your home. And I have one. And one of the things that I see is sometimes I see clarity and she's rational and we can talk and have such clear and lovely conversations. And then there are other times where the answers that I get, I just am thinking to myself, who are you and where did that come from? And that's okay, because that is the process that she is supposed to be going through. And often we laugh about it after. And I think that the ability for a parent to not jump down their teenager's throat when they do get those types of responses is paramount to being a parent of a teenage kid, right? So what are some things that we can do as far as helping our children who are teenagers? Well, the first thing that we can do is we can validate their emotions and we can help them to communicate what it is that they are experiencing during the pandemic. Sometimes it's as simple as I'm really frustrated, and sometimes it's I'm really overwhelmed with my work and I need to figure out. And so you may need to do some communication strategizing with your teenager about how they can get different things in different buckets in their life done. Because let's face it, they're not used to this. We're not used to this. This is new for all of us. Sometimes they might need help advocating for themselves. One of the most important gifts you can give your child is for them to learn how to self-advocate. And so what I encourage you to do as a parent is when they have questions and when they are confused or overwhelmed, don't just answer for them. Don't just give them the answer. Don't just tell them what to do, but have a conversation and ask questions, right? So, well, what do you think? How would you like to handle this? How can I help you handle this? So it really, what you're doing when you do that is you're really turning on the prefrontal cortex and making it work. And when you make the prefrontal cortex work, it learns. And then when it learns, it can repeat that behavior later on when you're not sitting with your child. And that's the most important thing that we can do as parents is help our kids teach the brain so that when they're in a situation and we're not sitting next to them, we can be confident and they can be confident that they can handle it on their own. After all, that's our job as parents, right? To prepare our kids to go out into the world and to be self-sufficient, happy, healthy human beings. And if we're always doing for our kids, they're not going to learn to do for themselves. So in this vein, one of the things that I really love is and one of the things that really I think helps with teaching our kids about communication, especially if you have a teenager who isn't really a great communicator, let's say, which I know right now during the pandemic, even teenagers that were really good communicators may have had some regression because they're on Zoom or on their computer on screen so much. And one of the things that has done is a lot of us have kind of forgotten how to have these conversations. So one of the things that you can do, and one of the things that I really encourage you to do, is to bring the idea of journaling into your home. And this is a journal that I love. Let's see, I'm gonna pull it up here. So this one is specifically called Just Between Us. You can see it. This is a guided journal between parent and child, really mom and daughter. There are lots of other journals like this on Amazon. This is just one that I happen to have in my home, and so I brought it so I could show you. The idea behind the journal is that, it is a safe space to have a conversation with your kid. And one of the rules that I have in my house with the journal, which I think has actually really helped, is that whatever we say in the journal stays in the journal. So if my daughter or daughters, one of them has a question and they want to bring it up, but it's something that they're embarrassed and they don't want to have like a conversation face to face with me about, which is very, very common when you have tweens and teens. It's hard to have those face to face conversations. So put it in the journal, have them ask questions, have them comment. My girls have said to me, I don't like how you handled X, Y, and Z. And then in the journal, I apologize and explain why I handled it that way. And sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. Sometimes they point something out to me that I should have done differently. And that becomes a really safe place where you can talk to your kids. You can also, this journal that I just showed you is between parent and child. The other type of journal I really like is a journal that is a guided journal just for your child to write in. And a perfect example of that is this one. It's called the Mindfulness Journal for Teens. And there are prompts that actually, help your child write in the journal. Now, I know that it is hard to get teenagers to write. I understand. But let's face it, because of the pandemic, there is extra time. And it is one of the things that I think is so important is this idea of getting our kids off of technology when we can. Now, technology is not all bad. And I will say, especially during the pandemic, technology has become the place where our teenagers are socializing. And so we can't take it away from them. I don't want you, excuse me, I'm so sorry. I don't want you to take it away from them because let's face it, Yes, it's where they're doing school. Yes, it's where they're gaming. Yes, it's where they're having conversations. It's where they're doing everything right now. It's where they're living. It's not always going to be that way. It's okay. It is okay right now that that's where they are, and that is where they get their social interaction. And so it's important that we allow that to happen. So, but because they are online so much, because they are so much on technology, it's also important that we as parents get them off technology. Now, if you live in a place like where I live in Los Angeles. We are blessed to have gorgeous weather here. And so when I get my kids off technology, I get them outside. And, you know, whether it's a hike or a walk or walking the dog or going for a bike ride, or my younger one loves to skateboard. So whatever it is, it's, you know, you have to do at least some time during the day outside, because we know that that is really good for our mental health and well-being. If you're not in a place where you can go outside, then that's okay. You know, it's okay. You can still get your kids off technology, or you can bundle up and go outside in the cold, which I lived in Wisconsin for 4 years, for 4 very cold winters. So I know what it's like, and I know it can be done. You get the little ice chips on the tips of your eyelashes, and it's freezing, but you're outside, and we know that that is good for our mental health and well-being. So this is one of those activities that if you're not outside, if you want to get your kids off technology, put writing time into your day. One of the things that we don't do it every single day, but I have definitely implemented, we have what I call solo quiet time. And in that solo quiet time, we all sit in one common room. So we're all near each other, and the choices are, you can sit and quietly listen to music with earbuds so that no one else hears the music that you're listening to, because we all have different musical tastes. Or you can read, or you can write. This is not about screen time. This is about solo, quiet time, but we're all around each other. And what I have found is that it creates a really lovely, calm time of the day when there's no technology. It's chill, it's family time, but we're doing things that we like. So for me, I am always on my Kindle because I love my Kindle. It is how I maintain my sanity, which I will talk about later. Let's see. Here's my Kindle. It is always within 2 feet of me. As I have joked on this show before, that my Kindle is literally like my security blanket. It is. It's literally my security blanket.
Meet the all-new Kindle Paperwhite. Our thinnest, lightest yet. Now waterproof, with Audible. Plus a sleek, modern design and twice the storage. Kindle Paperwhite is purpose-built for daily escapes, so you can read and relax in more places.
Well, it's not warm enough to be in a pool or a lake. However, the bathtub and the Kindle is, it is waterproof. This Kindle is waterproof. My Kindle is waterproof. And so I'm able to take it with me, anywhere I want to go, including the bathroom. And it is literally, the Kindle, for me, my Kindle equals my sanity. Everyone that knows me knows that I'm always reading. That is, even if, whether I have 2 minutes or 20 minutes or 2 hours, that is where you will find me. So yeah, the Kindle. Okay, so back to teens. What else can we do for them? So the next thing, so beyond the communication and the validation of everything that's happening and engaging them in those conversations, which can be challenging, I definitely understand that. But I think that you have to think of it this way. You are the parent. And while it is challenging to sometimes have those conversations or to ask our children to do things, you are the parent. You are not your child's best friend. They do not need you to be their best friend. They need you to be their parent. And quite frankly, until your child is 18, you are paying for their lifestyle. If they have a cell phone, it's probably because you have paid for it. If they have money to get food, if they're with their friends and, pre-COVID times, it's probably because you've given them money. Now, this is not true of everyone. Yes, there are a lot of teenagers who work. Yes, there are a lot of teenagers who are bringing in the money so that it gives them the ability to go out and do things on their own. But more than likely, the things and the advantages that your teenager has are because you as the parent have given them. So this goes back to what we were saying before about consequences, right? If our children want to continue to get these things from us, if they want to have a cell phone, if they want to have gas to go places in a car that they share, or even if it's their own, if they want to be able to meet a friend and buy food when they're out, if they want to be able to get whatever it is, they're going to probably come to you, mom or dad, at some point to help them get those things. Well, guess what? You get to use those things as positive reinforcement for them doing the things that they need to do. We are all a part of a family. We all have things that we have to do to be in a healthy familial relationship. And so I always tell my kids, you have jobs just like I have a job. One of my jobs is to be your mom. Another job is to go out and be a parenting consultant. You have jobs also. One of your jobs is to go to school. Another job is to help each other when I can't be there. Another job is to feed the dogs, right? One of my jobs is to make dinner. One of your jobs is to make your lunches or your breakfast, whatever it is, right? So it is very important that our children buy into the idea that they have some control in their routine. And that is really what I'm getting at right now. One of the things that we can give our teenagers, especially right now, is a sense of control. So everything has been taken away from them. So many teenagers, especially the older ones who were looking forward to getting their license or school dances or senior night, prom, sporting events, things that are really important to teenagers between 16 and 18 years old. So many of those things have been removed and taken away. And that loss of control can feel devastating to these kids. So even little wins, giving them little wins, saying, well, what could you do today? Occasionally my teenager will come to me and she'll say, I really feel like I want to go walk to Starbucks and pick up something. Okay. Fine, we call it in and we mask up and we sometimes glove up, depends, what's going on. And we walk or we bike ride or we take the car, depending on how we feel, and we go and we pick up that drink. Or I send her by herself because we're fortunate and she can walk to Starbucks. And so she feels completely independent from me. I've given her independence. I've given her the ability to control a part of her routine. I've given her a win because she is getting something that she wants. And that, they seem like very, very little things. Like to let your teenager get a drink from Starbucks, it almost seems silly. But the reality is that they right now need these wins. They need some control in their routine. They need to come up with things that are going to make them feel like, oh yeah, I have some independence. I am figuring out who I am and I like the person I'm becoming. And here are some things that I want to do and I can do them, right? So, and that is, I get it. It is so hard right now, but it can be done. So think about, giving your teenagers some wins and allowing them to take partial control over their routine. And if you have a teenager that is spending a lot of time in their room and is kind of, just staying in there, as long as you're checking in and you know that their mental health and well-being is okay, it's okay for teenagers to be kind of hanging out in their room more than your other kids or more than they used to before. They're supposed to. That's, they are supposed to kind of chill on their own. That's their domain. That's their place in the home. That is literally their place, right? And they can say to you, I don't want you to come in my room right now because I am needing me time. It's honestly no different than me saying to my kids, I need you to give me 20 minutes so that I can go take care of some self-care for myself, whether it's reading my Kindle or something else. We discussed all these self-care ideas in a previous episode, and you can check out those episodes if you want. You can go to swayreplay.com to watch back current or previous episodes. So again, that is swayreplay.com or Sway TV Live to check out current or previous episodes. And You can go to followsway.com to follow Sway on Amazon. You can find me at Intuit Parenting on social. And if you're just joining us, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Marissa Gold. I'm the Art of Parenting on Sway TV, on Amazon Live, and it's a beautiful Friday evening. We're going into the weekend on January 22nd, and I'm looking out the door and the windows of my studio here in Los Angeles, and the sun is setting, and the rays are coming through the clouds, and it's just gorgeous. And one of these days, I'm going to talk to my producer live. One of these days, I think we should do the show outside, or part of the show outside, because the view here is just incredible, and I would really like to be able to share it with you, because it's like bringing serenity into my life just by being here. So, and we are, just so in case you're curious and in case you're wondering, we are completely COVID safe. I am in a large room with lots of lights and cameras and all sorts, the studio setup, but I am the only person in this room. There is one other person, a producer, who is sitting in a separate room. We're not even in the same room, and the doors and the windows are open. So we're incredibly COVID safe here. And anytime that I have someone that I'm interviewing, I bring them on via Zoom, via technology. That's not the area that I handle. My producer handles that area, right? Okay, so let's go back to teenagers. What else can we do? So this is one that I love, okay? And this is one that I think that as parents we forget. And by the way, I think that we forget this not just with our teenagers, I think that we forget them with all of our children, and that is to treat them with the respect that they deserve, treat them with the respect that you would expect them to treat you with. And one of my favorite sayings that I ask parents that I work with when we're talking about, if they're telling me about something, a discussion, a conversation, or even an argument that they've had with one of their kids, I will say to them, close your eyes and think about how the conversation went. Now tell me if you were having that same conversation with your best friend, not a family member, not your kid, not your spouse, but your best friend. If you would not talk the same way that you spoke to your child, to your best friend, then you were not being respectful and gracious enough to have that conversation with your child. The reason for that is because we really, we keep control of ourselves when we're talking to our best friend. And with our best friend, there is a different level of respect that we have for them, because that's a person that we've chosen, that we trust, that we value, that we love. And so we talk to them in ways that shows those things and shows the trust, the love, and the respect. And with our children, we need to do the same. We cannot expect them to talk to us that way, to treat us that way, if we are not going to do it right back to them. And so one of the things that's awesome in my home is now, both of my girls, they're 12 and 15. They've gotten to the point now where, because all growing up their whole life, they would say something, and if it wasn't in a way that I or their dad felt was respectful, we would say to them, do you want to try that again? Very calmly, no emotion, wouldn't get upset, just, hey, try that again, or do you want to try that again? And so now, as they've gotten older, they repeat that back to us, because when we get angry or upset, and sometimes our voice intonation goes up, sometimes the way our face looks a little bit more angry or intense, and so they will say to us, maybe try that again, or I didn't like the way you said that to me. So now we are checking each other, and the beautiful thing is now we don't have to do it so much, but there are definitely times, and it is a great reminder to me that if I want them to continue to treat me with respect in the way that they talk to me, I have to do the same. So as we are talking to our kids, if they bring up something that is challenging, or if they are upset, you can remind them to speak to you with respect. Again, you are the parent. There are things that you can and should encourage in your home, and it is okay that one of those things be respect. Okay, the other thing that I want to share with you are to pick your battles. Now, this is something that I talk about a lot with young kids, right? Families who have young kids, especially like that 2 to 7-year-old age, because they can tantrum very easily and they don't always know what they want, and they will place 50 plus demands on you in a single day, right? Or many more. And if you as the parent are getting into it every time, you are going to be emotionally exhausted and spent by 11 a.m. You're not going to have the emotional internal tank to deal with your children throughout the entire day. And parenting is a 24/7 task. So if you're burnt out by 11 a.m., we've got a really big problem, right? So it is so important that we pick our battles. And the same is true with teenagers and right now. And so I have parents who are saying to me, oh, my teenager is going to bed at 1 a.m. and sleeping until 11 or 12 during the day and spending so much time online. And so I will say to the parents, well, let's talk about what's really important. Let's talk about what your kids really need. Let's talk about maybe what's really important to you. You can't have all of it. You have to decide, where are you going to pick your battles? And in that vein, we have to remember, what are teenagers like? Well, you know what? Teenagers do sleep late in the day and they do go to bed later. So, these are things that we need as parents to remember about our teenagers, because it's not wrong. But again, if you're feeling that your teenager is going to bed too late, let's say your teenager is going to bed at 4 a.m., yes, you should have a conversation with your teenager. Again, it's picking your battles, right? So it's not saying, it's not giving them a consequence like, I'm going to take your phone away, or, you have to go to bed at 11 p.m., but it's sitting down and having that respectful conversation and saying, look, I know you want to hang out online with your friends. I know that at that time of the night you can decompress and you can Netflix, or you can read if you're lucky, or you can listen to music, and I don't want to take that away from you. But going to bed at 4 a.m., not so healthy. So what do you think is a better alternative to that? And have that dialogue, and that way you also get buy-in, because your teenager is coming up with part of the solution with you, or even for you, for them, as opposed to you saying, here's the solution, right? When we tell our teens what to do, they put up a very defensive wall very fast. Whereas if we engage them in that conversation and we say to them, what do you think? Like, how can we fix this? Then, and if they actually come up with part of the problem solving and the solution, you have automatic buy-in. Automatic buy-in with a teenager, very hard to get. But if you have it, more than likely they will do it. So that's really important. And then the last thing that we can do is we can remind them that when we do make decisions for them, when we do tell them, if you do go to your child who is going to bed at 4 a.m. and you say, look, I'm okay with midnight or 1 a.m. 4 a.m. just is not okay with me. And if they still are upset with you, there are 2 things I want to say about that. 1, for your own self, know that we make decisions for our children to keep them healthy. Our teenage children don't always keep that in mind when we're telling them what to do. Yet, we are the parent, it is the parent's responsibility. We are their parents. It is our responsibility to keep them healthy and safe. So sometimes, yes, we have to make decisions that are not going to be popular decisions in our home. That is okay. You are the parent. You're not always going to be making popular decisions. Leading or related to that, what I want to say is, and this I think is so fun if you just as a parent, you remember this, that if you are not pissing off your teenage child at least 4 to 5 times a day, you are not parenting your teen correctly. And I strongly, strongly believe that, right? So it was yesterday when I said to my tween and my teen daughter, I made them lunch because they were in school and I wanted it to be ready when they had their lunch break. So I made them lunch and they came into the kitchen and they got their plates and they started to walk out of the kitchen so that they could return to their rooms. Oh no, oh no. So I said to both of them, no, we're gonna sit at the kitchen table and we're gonna have lunch together. Well, I got groans, I got eye rolling, I don't want to, my friend is waiting for me on Zoom, and I said, sorry, we're going to sit and have lunch together right now, the 3 of us. It's what we're going to do. So it wasn't really a popular decision at the moment, but it was necessary because I had to get them off of their Zoom. They had been on already for about 2.5 hours from school. I knew they were going right back on, and I know that they socialize with their friends at night. So yeah, it's okay to get them off. Plus, yeah, not a popular decision. I want them to sit and have lunch together. I'm making that decision as their parent. It's the right thing to do. I get to force the issue. And you know what? They sat down, and after a few moments of them kind of like easing into the seat and starting to have some food and feeling a little bit better, we had a lovely conversation, had a great lunch together. So, you know, knowing that, yes, I made them angry momentarily, I was okay with that. I'm not walking on eggshells with my kids. If I'm gonna make them a little bit angry because I know the decision that I'm making is right for them, as a parent, I am okay with that. And you should be okay with that too. Okay, so moving right along, one of the things that when I'm talking about also about things to really help our kids and our teenagers, if you have teenagers, you know that they are really into, hi Brian, he says hello. So I'm saying, hi Brian, how are you? Nice to have you here, Brian. One of the things that I really love is, well, actually your teenagers probably love them even more than we love them, are candles and some kind of interesting light in their room, right? So if your teens don't already, or your kids even don't already have these things, I want to share with you some things that my teenagers have, and some things that I've told families about, because they change the mood, they elevate different senses, right? Because we're always using our hearing and our vision for things that are like everyday things, like reading and listening to people talk to us. But it's nice to elevate the senses in a different way. So for example, this was a really big hot ticket item over the holidays. Both of my girls got this. And I will tell you that even I like to lie on their beds and just look up at the sky. How cool is that? It's really relaxing, like really relaxing. I think this is like a product that actually became very popular. It's a bestseller on Amazon. I think it's a product that became very popular this year, but it's actually funny. When I was a kid, you know, we used to put up those glow-in-the-dark stars on the sky, and I loved those. I loved turning my lights off at night and looking up at the ceiling and seeing like hundreds of glow-in-the-dark little stars. This is so cool. It replicates like a sky with stars, and it's really beautiful, and it has different like ways that you can do it. So it can be moving, there can be clouds, it can just be stars. It's super relaxing. And then the other thing that I know a lot of teens are really into, and the reason why I like these also is these are things that can actually really help your teen's mood. If you have a teen that is showing low levels of anxiety and or depression, or just seems sullen or sad or frustrated or anxious, all these things, we know that light can be very helpful. We know that music can be very helpful. We know that aromatherapy can be very helpful. So this is something else that a lot of teenagers have in their rooms. I'm sure you've heard about these. These are LED lights. There are so many on Amazon. This is one that I like. This isn't, it's Amazon Choice, which is why I put it up here. Oh, come on, video. Let's play.
It's sunny and funny and cocky and dark, a little piece of heaven, and I still wanna go. I know my happy ending, but you don't have a clue. 'Cause where I wanna be is a place called you.
So one of the things that I like about this set in particular, is that it can be controlled by an app on your smartphone. So they're not all like that. Most of them come with a little remote control, and you can change the color, you can have them dance to music, you can do all sorts of things. But this one also you can plug into an app. So if you have younger kids, or actually even teenagers too, if your child likes to fall asleep with the LED lights on, then you can turn them off as soon as they fall asleep. I know I have seen, and I know of kids who have their LEDs on all night long, and waste of energy. So I like that you can turn these off. So the other thing that I wanted to share is that, and I mentioned this very briefly, that there are a lot of teenagers and children that are having like these low levels of anxiety and depression. I'm seeing more anxiety than depression, but I know that both have increased in the mental health space with children and teenagers. And so I want to share with you 2 workbooks that I think are really great. This kind of falls into the same vein as the journaling, but this specifically is, it specifically gets into anxiety and how we get, and teenagers, you know, the great thing about teenagers is they can read more, understand more, take more in, really think about it, the self-introspection is very different. They can reflect differently than a young child can. And so this workbook is one that I really love, and I will share, let's see if I can pull up, let's see. I don't know if it's gonna, yeah. I don't know if you can actually see that, but it takes you, there are, you know, all of these illustrations about how different ways that anxiety plays out in our bodies, in our lives. And so this is a great workbook, if you have a teenager. And then the other, I hope it's here. Oh yeah, here it is. The other workbook that I love, and even though we're talking about teenagers today, I want to share this with you because I think it's so important. If you have a younger child who you feel is showing signs or you know is anxious, this book, What to Do When You Worry Too Much, is a kid's guide. And I just love this book. This actually is part of a series. It's called the What to Do When series, and there are so many different types of books in this series. So I think that, you know, so look, you can actually see, I'll see if I can pull up. So this was What to Do When You Worry Too Much. This is What to Do When Your Temper Flares. This is What to Do When You Grumble Too Much, a kid's guide to overcoming negativity. So there's some really, really valuable tools out there for you as a parent of children and of teens. And I really encourage you to use them, right? Because I'm sorry, but we are not, as parents, we're not supposed to know everything. How could we know everything? But there are people that have created tools that we can utilize as part of our own parenting toolkits that can really, really be beneficial and helpful for our children. So I wanted to share those 2 workbooks with you. Okay, back to what teens really like. And we were talking about the senses. And so if you do have a teenager or even, you know, a tween who has this, you know, the anxiety or just needs needs help staying mindful and in the moment, one of the ways that we can do that is through using fidget toys. I'm sure you've heard of fidget toys. My kids use them. I use fidget toys. I know a lot of adults. I know kids, teens alike. So these are some of my favorites. I'll just show you. So if you want to buy a lot at one time, this is the set that I recommend getting. It has all different kinds of fidgets in here, including this timer, which you can see. I don't know if it'll, yeah, see, you can see the timer. So there are so many things in here. It has like a click cube, Rubik's cubes, all sorts of, depending on how you like to play and how you need to interact with something, if you're a tactile person. The other thing, there are 2 more that I really like. I'll show you one because you can always go and shop the carousel and check out all of my products on followsway.com, on swaytvshop.com, on swaytvlive.com. There are so many different ways to find the carousel and shop the show. So I'm not going to go through all the things that I love here, but this is another one. So this is so funny. These are very trendy right now. Very trendy, very of the moment. Kids love them. There isn't a video to show you, but think like those plastic bubbles that you would sit and pop. You get the same feeling from these, and they're very popular, trending with kids. They are all over TikTok, okay? So like 2 weeks ago, my girls came to me and were like, there's a new fidget toy. We wanted this fidget toy. It's like a poppy thing. And I was like, okay, I don't know what you're talking about. But so I've obviously since done some research, and this is it. And there are many of these on Amazon. I happen to just like this one because Quite honestly, I liked the colors, but there are a lot of other options out there. This also got really great reviews, and there are a few different options. So if you look down here, you can get 3, you can get 2, or you can go with this other, these other colors. So there are a lot of different ways. And this is silicone. It's high quality and really fun, okay? So one of the things that I know is that sometimes, my kids want to, when they're sitting at their desk, they need to be able to sit and like fidget with something. I know that I do when I'm working or building out a presentation or thinking about a topic that I'm going to be speaking about. I focus better and I am more in it than when I have something that I'm fidgeting with than when I'm just staring at my screen. So I wanted to share those with you. Okay, as far as elevating the senses, the other thing that teenagers love, if you have a teenager, you probably have candles in your home. So, and we've talked a little bit about candles on this show before. I've shared with you how much I love the LAFCO candles. I think that they are superb. They smell so good. Yes, they're a little bit pricier than some other candles, but worth it. Totally worth it. As you know, if you've been on here with me before, I only talk about and sell or try to get you to be interested in products that I really myself believe in. So I love the LAFCO candles. I also have come across another candle that I really love, and it's so pretty. It is, so I have it right here. I have it in the travel tin. So you can see it's in the travel tin, but this is, I pulled it up. You can see the larger one. It's the Times molded green glass candle in Fraser fir. That's the key, the Fraser fir.
Today's the day.
So I think it's so funny that we're basically at like the near end of January, and I just showed you a video that's all about the holidays, but there is a reason. I'm very intentional about that. So my girls are obsessed with the sounds and smells of the holiday, as a lot of people are. It gives you that warm, fuzzy feeling inside. And so to be able to replicate that in some way throughout the year, really, again, when we talk about how do we elevate or change our moods or remain more mindful in the moment, we know that we can do that through sense of smell, through sense of taste, through sense of hearing, and jogging memories back to things that were feel-good moments in the times of our life, right? And so for so many people, that's the holidays. So there's no reason, yeah, we're in January, we're gonna be in February. Listen, even in the summer, if you want, there's no reason to not have a candle that smells like the holidays. And I will tell you, and I have tried a lot, because in our home, we like the smell of the holidays. And so we've tried a lot of different ones. And this one, I feel like probably comes the closest. So this is the Times Fraser Fir, and we just love it. We've been known to take them from each other's rooms because my girls always have candles burning. I don't always. I only do it when it's like I'm feeling like I need to change my mood, or just something's going on and I want to just chill. But I always have this candle in my in my room. It has disappeared a few times. It's a great candle. Okay. So we talked about quiet solo time before, and I talked about how we listen to music, or we write in a journal, or we read. I forgot, there was actually a fourth thing that we do. If we want, we color. So one of the things that I love about coloring is, like journaling, it engages your brain. It pulls your brain into the activity. And so there are so many different types of coloring books on Amazon. This is one that I really like. It's by Crayola, as you can see, and it's really beautiful. The designs are really, so, you know, some of the books, the designs are not beautiful. They're more just like patterns, but this has both. So this has patterns, and then it also has really beautiful designs that you can color in. And you just need to get, you know, like a set of pens that are like fine tip. So you can pick those up basically anywhere, but here's an example. Whoops, hopefully it's gonna pull it up. Let's see. There we go. So these are also by Crayola. Like I said, there are so many options out there. You want, these are actually washable, which you don't have to have, but what you want, the idea is that you want fine tips, right? So yeah, so if we're having quiet solo time, we're doing one of those 4 things. We're reading, we're journaling, we're coloring, or we're listening to music. And those are all things that, you know, we can do quietly, we can do on our own. They bring the calmness down, you know, they help us to calm down, they help us to self-soothe, they help us to lower the energy levels of our body, which sometimes we need, you know, and it's off screen, which I think is super important. Okay, then this is a really fun thing that we got over the holidays as well, that we are really looking forward to filling this out. My girls really got into this. So this is a scratch off bucket list poster, and its title is 100 Things to Do After Quarantine. Look at that. How fun is that? You see it? 100 Things to Do After Quarantine. And each box is a different thing, and we haven't started because we're still in quarantine, but actually some of them you can do in quarantine. So we're going to actually probably we're gonna put it up. I've had it put away, which is why it's all curled up still. But we're gonna, there are some things you can do. Like it says, go to a country park. Well, we can do that, right? It says, go out for a drink. We can't do that, but we can change it a little bit. And going back to what I was saying before about giving your kids some ownership over their routine and allowing them to be independent, they can take this list and they can use this as inspiration for things that they might be able to do that are COVID style. So for example, the going out for a drink, if my 2 girls said to me, we want to go out for a drink, we're going to walk to Starbucks and get a drink and walk home, that is going out for a drink. And I would let them do that, and I have let them do that, because it allows them to have that independence, it allows them to have control, it gives them a win, all of these things that we're talking about that are so great for teenagers. And how fun is this, that it's like then you get to scratch it off. It's a scratch off poster. The one thing I will say about this company, it's the Gift Republic store. They have so many of these. I gifted a few of these over the holidays and they were a big hit. I love those. So that's something that it's like a fun, new, unique, you don't see it everywhere. You can bring that poster into your home. They're all different kinds. And it can be inspiration for all different types of activities in your home. Okay. The other thing that I want to share with you is music. How important is music in your teenager's life? Well, I remember when I was a teenager, all I wanted was to be able to have like a playlist going to my life 24/7, which was not possible because there were no smartphones, there were no portable Wi-Fi speakers, but guess what? Now there are. So this is an awesome portable Wi-Fi speaker. This one is by Unz. I think that's how you pronounce it. I could be totally wrong. I hope I'm not. Let me see. Here we go. It's a bestseller on Amazon. We have a couple of them in our house and we love them. Where's the video? Come on. Video. Okay. So that is the speaker. So I've given you a bunch of different things that you can bring into your home. If you don't already have things like this for your kids, for your teenagers, I think that having some some grouping of these actually is really great. And yes, they can listen to music on their phone, but I like the idea of them not always having their phone in their hands. And so I like the idea of them having a speaker that they can actually walk around with or take outside, etc. Okay, so now we're going to go into segment 2 of the show, which is all about if you're a parent of a teenager, maintaining your sanity. Creating chaos, taking the chaos and creating calm in your home. And what can teens do in their home so that they have ownership over helping to create calm in the home, so that there is so that everyone feels more sanity and everyone feels more calm, and your entire environment is less stressful and people don't feel like they're walking on eggshells. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I talk to parents who say to me, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells with my kids. And that can't feel good to be in your own home, like your home and your bedroom. And these are your places of this is like your inner sanctum. This is your spot in the world. It should not be a place where you feel tension and anger and frustration and that you're walking on eggshells with the people that live in your home with you. And if you do, then how are you ever going to maintain your own sense of sanity? So that's what this is really all about. And I think that, if you can give your kids, your teenagers, what we talked about in segment 1, then they buy into this and the respect goes both ways. And there are definitely certain things that I do in my home that helps me maintain my sanity. And a lot of those things have to do with self-care, but some of those things have to do with how I talk to my kids, how I interact with my kids. I love creating time where we can actually just be together. And so whether that's going for a walk or a hike or the solo quiet time, we're just being together. We're not up in each other's faces or schedules or trying to have some really important conversation. And that's okay. It doesn't, all the interactions don't have to be, oh, now I have to do this and now I have to talk about this. It can just be hanging out together. And I think that that's actually something that probably parents and teens aren't doing a lot of right now. Even if our teens are in our house all the time, we may not necessarily be hanging out with them or engaging in these positive and constructive experiences and dialogues. So that's something that I want to encourage you as a parent of a teen to try to figure out how to put that into your life, try to figure out how to put that into the routine. And again, it doesn't have to always be, oh, now we need to have this conversation. It can just be, hey, let's get off our technology and let's sit in the same room together, or let's go for a walk and we don't have to talk, just let's walk the dog and whatever. One of the things that I have found actually is that when I do put myself in a situation like that and I don't try to force a conversation and I don't say, hey, I need to talk to you about this, usually my tween or my teen starts a conversation on their own. So that it's very typical. One of the things that I say to parents is that if you give your child the optimal environment for something to happen, it will organically happen. And another example of that is that I started watching a certain TV show with my teenager that I wouldn't have allowed her to watch really before this year. And part of why I am allowing her to watch it with me, one, it's really fun, right? We have a lot of fun watching it together and talking about it. And two, because of the subject matter that has come up in the show, it has allowed a very organic process of dialogue to flow. And my daughter now will ask me questions, or she'll make comments that will lead to a conversation about something that if I had to go to her and say, hey, we need to have a talk about this, she instantly would have put up a wall, or she would have rolled her eyes, or she would have walked away. And as a parent, it's really hard to do that with a teenager. But if you have a way where you can have a very organic start to a conversation with your teenager, they're going to listen, they're going to buy into wanting to have that conversation with you, and they're going to actually engage with you and talk with you. They're not going to just sit there and let it go in one ear and out the other. They will actually talk with you. And so coming up with ways where those organic conversations can start, that's what you want to do. And I just want to say hello to Chianti. I hope I am not messing up your name. I apologize if I am. I know what that's like because my name is not nearly as beautiful or different as your name, but people still mess it up all the time. So I'm very sensitive to that. So just want to say, hey, thanks for being here with me. If you have any questions or comments about parenting or any of the product that you've seen here, again, I'm Marissa Gold. This is The Art of Parenting. We're on Sway TV, on Amazon Live. I'm so happy that you're with me on this Friday evening, going into this beautiful January weekend. I don't know about all of you, but I am definitely feeling like a sense of calm just in my life this week. And it has been really nice. It's been like a breath of fresh air. I think a lot of people are feeling that. Not even having to do with political parties, I want to take that out of it, but just change in the environment and kindness towards each other. I think that a change in the guard is always good. People are actually really scared of change. I know that it's human nature to really shy away from change. Change can be really good. And that's one of the things that I actually talk to my kids about all the time. One of the things that we talk about in our home all the time is how important change is to move forward in our life and for new opportunities to come our way. We really have to push ourselves and we have to make change happen and we have to be okay when it happens. So, okay, and I digress. I went down a rabbit hole there. So back to the things that I do for myself to maintain my sanity in my home with my teenage daughter and my tween daughter. My tween is 12. She thinks that she's like, 17, and my 15-year-old thinks that she's 25. So it sometimes feels like I'm living with like two like adult girls, but they're not. They're a tween and a teen, and so have to parent them appropriately and also allow them to have their independence and to be individuating, which is hard. I'm not gonna lie. There are times where I feel like, hey, I wish you were telling me more, or hey, I want to do that with you, and they would rather do it with their friends, or they tell their friends something. And that's okay. That is part of this stage of their life. And I think it's actually one of the hardest things for parents of teens to recognize that this is the stage in their life where your kids are supposed to be doing that, and you have to take a step back and allow that to happen. It doesn't mean that you disappear. As a parent, you don't ever want to disappear. You want your kids to know that you are there, but you're not going to rush in and save them. And especially at this stage in their life, how important it is for them to be doing for themselves, thinking for themselves, having these experiences for themselves. That is the stage of development that they are in, and it is so important that we allow them to have that. So when I get upset or frustrated that I'm not getting the time from my teen and tween daughters that I used to get, how do I keep myself busy? What do I do? I will share that with you right now. So let's see. Okay. So the first thing that I like to do, or that I do to maintain my sense of sanity, is I have to have coffee or tea. I have to have like a warm drink. Even in the summer, believe it or not, I like to have a warm drink. There's something about it, like when the warmth in my body, it just feels really good. So I will share with you, and I have shared this before on this show because it is my absolute favorite. Oh, it's an Amazon choice now. Was it an Amazon choice before? Hey, maybe I did that. Ha, 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 ha. No, but this is my favorite. This is called, I don't actually have a drink in it today, which I think is the first time because I've had it on the show and I've been drinking my coffee, but because it's like, it's like almost 6 p.m. here, so I'm not drinking coffee, because if I drink coffee now, oh, forget it, I'll be up all night. But this is the Keep Cup. It's reusable. It's dishwasher safe on the top rack, and without the lid, it can go in the microwave. You just take this, you just take it off, it can go in the microwave. It has a cork around it for when it's there's a warm drink in there. I love this. It's beautiful also. It's very aesthetically pleasing, which is very important to my teenage daughter. Anything that's aesthetically pleasing, she is happy about. So this is, and both of my daughters, by the way, have tried to take this from me. This is mine. I've gotten them other things. They've got their Hydro Flask. They have other, but this, I just love this. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. It's the perfect size. It's 16 ounces. And when I am using this, it is usually because I have made myself a latte in my favorite latte machine. Let's see if it's here in my list. Here it is. This is also an Amazon bestseller. It's the Nespresso Vertuo Plus coffee and espresso maker. So I love the Nespresso lattes, and this happens to be my favorite machine ever. Check it out. I mean, he is awfully nice to look at, but it's a long video. You get the idea. Oh my gosh, there's only 5 left in stock. Order soon. No, there are different Nespresso machines out there. I happen to love this one. It's really easy to use, really easy to clean. And I will share with you, I have gone through very many, does that make sense? I have gone through many different frothers, milk frothers. And I, of course, if you've watched this, you know I love the Zulai frother. But the Zulai frother doesn't heat up your milk. And so I have tried so many of them. I won't give the list of them because I don't want to speak badly of any of them, but I have tried so many. And honestly, my main problem are twofold. One, they don't get my milk hot enough. And 2, they are really hard to clean, and you get the, the milk stuck on the bottom, or if you're using a milk substitute, it gets stuck on the bottom because it gets, it heats up, and then you get like the crusty, it's gross. And they're not dishwasher safe. So you sit there and you have to scrub, and it's awkward, and it's just hard. Okay, I found one that I love. I went through reviews, I poured through reviews, I compared prices. This one's not even that expensive compared to some of the more expensive ones on the market. I love this. It's the Capresso Froth Pro Milk Frother, okay? So I actually have this one. This is the Capresso Froth Max Automatic Milk Frother. And I pulled up one on Amazon that's not exactly the same. It's similar. The reason why I like this one is because I like that the little, where the part that you put the milk in is clear. So you can really see it doing its work when it's spinning around. Here's what I love about this. There are 2 things. You can make your milk or your milk substitute cold, warm, or hot. Let me tell you something. It is hot. It is truly like I picked up my latte from the barista at the local coffee shop, which makes me so happy. And then what I also love about this is it is dishwasher safe, y'all. Dishwasher safe. That is like the best thing ever. So I just rinse it out I just splash around some warm water right after I pour the milk into my mug, and then I stick it in the dishwasher on the top rack, and I don't have to deal with it. It's so nice. It has changed my life. It makes it so much easier. And yes, I did have a family member say, I cannot believe you bought yet another one of these milk frothers, but I'm telling you, this is the last one I'm buying. This is it. It's so good. It works so great. I love it. And it's Amazon's choice as well. So I'm in good company. Okay, so maintaining my sanity, it is so important to me. Often throughout the day, you will find me sitting on the couch or in the backyard or on my bed with my latte in my Keep Cup and my Kindle, which I talked about before. I'm not gonna show you the Kindle video again, although I would love to, but I'm not going to. But the Kindle. So those are the things that just make me super happy. Now, the other thing that I want to share with you is a small part of my routine that I've created as far as like my, morning routine and my night routine. There are things that are just like you have to do, right? Like you have to brush your teeth, you have to floss, I put my toner on, I put whatever, my lotion, my moisturizing lotion. But I have added 2 things to my routine that, and I've added them because A, I love the product, and B, I love the smell of the product, and 3, it's a healthy product. So I want to just share that with you because, like I said, or I've said before on this show, I'm a huge believer that if you find something that you love, you should share it. And so this is a product line. It is called, well, I'm going to show you. It's OUAI. I had to do some research to figure out how to pronounce it. You pronounce it way. That's how they pronounce it. And I'm obsessed, obsessed, obsessed. It smells, so this I use in the shower, this body cleanser. I'm not gonna lie, this is a little bit of a pricier item for as far as body cleansers go, but totally worth it. I don't steer you wrong. I only share things with you that I love, that I use myself, that I believe in, or people that I know personally use, love, and believe in. So this is the body cleanser, and then the other item from this line, sorry. The other product that I just love from this line is the body cream. It smells so good. And so now I use, I do use a different cream when I have very dry skin, but I also use this one intermittently. I swap them out. So like I'll do the other one 3 times a week and I'll do this one like 2 or 3 times a week. So I love those. And I've talked about these Mario Badescu sprays before. These also I really love. What I love about these is how quick they can be used and how quick they make something smell so good. Let's see. If I cover my face, can the camera get them a little bit better? But they come in 4 different scents. This one is rose water and this one is aloe cucumber. They smell so good, and both me and my girl, or the 3 of us, we all use these. It's like an instant mood lifter. They're so fresh smelling and I just love them. So if you're looking for something that's like a quick pick-me-up, I highly recommend either the Ouai products or these. Those are my favorite things. So I talked about coffee, which really helps me like get a jump start when I need it, or honestly, it's not even a jump start. It's like a mood changer. There's something about having the warm cup of coffee in my hands, or tea. I'll put tea also. I drink a lot of herbal mint tea, which I love. But in the afternoon, it's so important to stay hydrated to really get you through the afternoon hump and into the evening when you're dealing with your kids and you have your routine of dinner and all this other stuff. And so Zulai, love Zulai, they make this, I love this water infuser. Oh, look, it pops up. It's so cute. Look at that. So here's what I love about this. It has, in the inner part of this, there is a spot. I bet there's like a real name for it. Let's just go and see if I can find it and see if they actually call it something, because I don't want to mess it up for Zulai. But the idea is that you can put lemon. I love drinking lemon water, so I'll put lemons on the inside and then I put my water in and voila, it's like lemon water and it's so nice. Now my daughter, she puts frozen strawberries or other frozen fruit into her water, and it's twofold. It makes it cold and it also makes it taste yummy like fruit water. So we drink a ton of water in our house. We are not a home where we do soda. There we go. We don't do soda. We don't really do that many other types of drinks. Nothing, nothing out of the ordinary. We really just drink water, and I have 1 coffee a day. And so and sometimes I don't even have that coffee, but we're huge water drinkers. So it's nice that this has the area that you can stick the fruit into, because I don't see it in their lineup. I see all the other products that I love. Oh, here it is. Here we go. Okay. So the fruit infuser water bottle with sleeve. I guess they're calling it a sleeve. Okay, so the inside sleeve is where you can put the fruit. You could put vegetables, and you can make like spa water. You can put like cucumbers and lemon. And I know that there are a lot of things out there that are similar to this, but here's the other thing that I love about this. So first of all, the Stay Put cap, it's not going to open up on you. It has this little handle that you can hold on to it with if you're hiking or just walking around your house. It also has this grip, so it's like an ergonomic grip. And then this is my favorite part, is it has times on here. So you can actually give yourself goals of when to drink how much, so that you'll know if you're hitting those goals or not. And I think that that's so important, because I mean, let's face it, I don't think anyone drinks enough water. Well, that's not true. I shouldn't say that. I know a few people that drink enough water, not a lot. So I love that it has those, like the lines with the times, because you can really have goals for yourself and stick to them. And it's so important to stay hydrated that, I love that it's really big also. The other way that we stay hydrated in our house, and I've talked about this before, is we make smoothies. So this is also from Zulai Kitchen. This is their the personal smoothie maker, and I love it. You put your items in there, you turn it on, you turn it off, you have your individual smoothie. We make smoothies in our house every single day. It's either the mid-morning snack, the mid-afternoon snack. My girls really look forward to them. I love that they drink it, because I know they're getting protein, because their yogurts and probiotics go in there. They're getting vitamins, because orange juice goes in there with vitamin D in it and vitamin C, and then they're getting fruits. And I don't personally put vegetables in, but I know a lot of people that do put vegetables in. So I love it. Okay, so those are some of the things that I wanted to show you that really help me maintain my sanity. And then I think it's so important. We're gonna finish up this segment really soon, but I guess I just want to end by saying, it's okay if you feel that there are moments where you are pulling your hair out. As a parent of a teen, your teenagers feel the same way, and that is normal, that is typical. And I think that the pandemic has amplified a lot of this, because we are so much in each other's space, literally in each other's space all the time. We're not getting breaks from each other that we're supposed to be getting. We're not getting downtime. We're not getting the normal developmental stage that our teenagers are in. It's not happening. And we as parents have had to become everything. And who really wants the role of being everything to our kids? And the reality is, we're not supposed to be everything. We're not supposed to be all the teachers, or the teacher, depending on what grade your kid is in. We're not supposed to be the chef 24/7. I mean, it's one thing to have breakfast and then dinner, but I don't know about you, but there's literally always dirty dishes in my sink. Every time of day, it doesn't matter how often I wash the dishes in my sink. My kids are eating nonstop, and they're eating healthy, so I'm happy and it's great. But there's so much of it is nonstop. So, and it's not supposed to be like that. We're supposed to get breaks. They're supposed to get breaks from us. So I want to end this show as I like to end all of the shows that I do with you, with my audience, if you're watching, thank you so much for watching me on The Art of Parenting on Sway TV on Amazon Live. And I just want to end and say, as you go into this weekend, be kind to yourself, be kind to your teenager, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to parent with grace, with respect, with clarity, with intention, and know that you're not always going to get it right. I don't always get it right, but that's okay. It's okay. Go, love your kids, love on them, give them kisses and hugs, and tell them that you love them, and tell them that you're proud of them, and practice kindness, model kindness. To yourself, most importantly, and to your children, your teenagers as well. And with that, I want to say thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. I had so much fun with you in The Art of Parenting, and we will be back next week, probably Monday morning. So stay tuned and let's sway.
make sure you guys follow Sway TV. Follow Sway right here. Ooh, it's this way, sorry. Corey says, thank you, Sway TV. Shakira says, thank you, Sway. Yes, guys, it is so much fun. We love Sway TV.
So grateful for you guys and for Sway TV.
We'll see you soon. Until then, let's sway.
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 Let's sway.